The backers of the European Super League have revealed their new version. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, all understood to have contacted more than 50 clubs in the hope of creating a new European tournament. A22 Sports Management, the company behind the Super League project with the three rebel clubs. Their chief executive is Bernd Reichart, and he's just released this video.
Last October, we began an open dialogue on the future of European club football. Since then, we have spoken to nearly 50 European clubs and other stakeholders. The vast majority of them share the assessment that the very foundation of European football is under threat. It is time for change. European club football is at a tipping point. Huge imbalances have emerged across the continent, and clubs with glorious European traditions are no longer able to compete. Clubs bear all entrepreneurial risks, but too often are forced to sit on the sidelines when key decisions are made, and they are watching their sporting and financial foundations crumble. And our discussions have made clear clubs are often unable to publicly speak up against a system where the threat of sanctions is used to stifle opposition. Later this year, the Court of Justice of the European Union will rule on the legality and the compatibility of the UEFA monopoly with the fundamental freedoms, principles and values of the EU. Their decision will impact not only football, but all European sports. Our objective is to present a sustainable sporting project for European club competitions, available at a minimum to all 27 EU member states. Today, we present the preliminary results of the first phase of our dialogue, which has been honest, direct and constructive. And there are clear conclusions about the need for change and the building blocks of how to achieve it. We have distilled the consistent feedback into 10 principles, which should set the framework for a future European club competition. Clearly, there is more work to be done, and the dialogue will continue. We are now entering the decisive phase for the future governance of European club football.
Oh, yeah.
Gee whiz.
Why'd you do it properly in the first place then?
My palms of my hands are getting sweaty. So we've gone from the 6 Premier League clubs here in England getting involved with the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus to this. A new Super League, a competition made up of 60 to 80 teams with no permanent members and a minimum of 14 games per club per season.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. What did you make of old Reichart and what he was telling us there?
What I made of it, a lot of it had some sense in it. A lot of it was self-serving nonsense. You're not doing it. 822 are not doing it because they want the well-being of football clubs. They're doing it because they know that tournament football makes an inordinate amount of money and they're going to profit from it. They're also not doing it from the position of looking after the best interests of all the major clubs in England, in Europe, because if they're talking about the 27 EU member states, then obviously English clubs aren't going to be able to have a part of that conversation, are you? Because we're not in the EU anymore.
Oh, yeah. Thanks to you and Nigel and the others.
Look at the reality. Thanks to 52% of the country.
Get on with
it. Looking at the arguments that he advances, whoever said and accepted that UEFA were a force for good, whoever accepted the monopoly of UEFA, because ultimately what he's saying is that UEFA monopolise what you can and can't do in European football.
But whoever asked for this, a new competition made out of 60 to 80 teams? Can you imagine some of the imposters we're going to get in that lot?
Whoever asked for... First of all, football needs to keep on generating itself and evolving.
It's Bruges against Arsenal. Wow. But can't wait for that.
Did you hear some of the observations that he made? Well, there'd be an audience for it. You don't have to watch it. Just because you don't want to watch it doesn't mean that the audiences and the TV broadcasters can't monetise it and ultimately the football clubs can't benefit from it.
But how can you take any of this lot seriously? How can you take a word that comes out of that guy's mouth after what it became last time around?
Well, what it became last time round, and that's where they lose some credibility, is I always believe if you go into a deal, what you do is you whack your opponent, right? And if they don't whack you back, then you roll all over them, right? And if they do whack you back, then you've got an adversary that you're going to have to deal with on a different level. they may have put forward their very worst case scenario to be able to soften people's mentality up to the reality of what's a more achievable outcome, and now they're coming around at it from a proper position. I do understand some of their thinking from the first instance. They're basically saying all these core businesses that are going to generate this revenue, they are the main beneficiaries. They are the main reasons why Premier League rights are sold around the world. They're not sold because Burnley are in the Premier League. They're not sold because Crystal Palace are in the Premier League. They're sold because Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham.
Oh, I know. I get that. So well, initially, it was for the elite.
So then what happens is right, let's get this hysteria out of the way. Get rid of the lack of meritocracy. Get rid of the elitism of simply the legacy clubs going in there. Where's the problem?
What, to this?
To anything that was suggested by the European...
How can you go from a closed shop of 12 clubs to an open competition made up of 60 to 80 teams?
Well, I would have thought you of all people would have turned around and said, in your classic journalistic parlance, it's a U-turn, because they're U-turning away from the things that people found unpalatable, and they're turning into a collective situation where more people benefit as a result of it. Where's the problem?
They're saying what you want to hear. I mean, this obviously, they've gone into a little dark room.
Well, you can't
and
say
they
that.
thought, right, first time around, didn't fancy it.
Well, they can't win then, can they?
The fans of their own clubs turned on it. They didn't fancy it. Come on, what can we think of now? I tell you what, let's up the ante. 60 to 80
by
teams.
That logic.
We'll still call it the new Super League. No permanent members, but a minimum of 14 games per club. Just get them to play a hell of a lot more games, and there's a heck of a lot more teams competing.
So let's get this right. They can't win in your eyes, right? As far as you're concerned, right?
It ain't broke, so why fix it?
Who says the Champions League isn't broke? Who said that the UEFA...
You're kidding.
Who says... Hang on. Who says that UEFA are the only game in town? That's called a monopoly. You understand what a monopoly is, don't you?
Of course I do.
Right, so that with that in mind, why are you happy...
It's a board game.
Why are you happy
with your sister?
Why are you happy with a monopoly from one entity in a Swiss part of the world, when we never get to see behind the curtain like FIFA and UEFA? All we get to hear is the way that they operate. Then they start changing the Champions League. Did you complain about when the Champions League became what it is now?
What's up with the Champions League in its present state?
Because things can evolve, things can improve.
Yeah. What's up with the Champions League right now?
Well, I didn't say there was anything up with it. But
there you go. So we don't need this talk.
So what was up? So what was up with certain aspects of football that didn't get better as a result of change? You would have been one of those people sitting there going, well, we don't want to go from 2 points to 3, right? And when they do, when they prove the concept, it works. When you talk about the Premier League, all those naysayers, all those David Deans, I created the Premier League. Well, you were trying to sell it to ITV. You had no vision for Sky.
Remember the last time we said to the Super League, no, go away and don't come back.
No, I didn't say that.
So here's
only
the deal.
Silly people said that.
No. Well, you didn't say that, to your credit. And I agree, you didn't say that. But many of the fans said, we don't want this. Because
they were fed a stable diet by hysterical, ill-informed media that was suggesting
a very
that...
chirpy German.
But they do want it.
This is what you consider.
But they do want it. They do want football to evolve. They do want other competitions. Everybody knows that competitions is the life. Why was Arsene Wenger running around
I said it to you a
for
minute ago,
two World Cups every 4 years?
If it's not broken, why fix it?
Then why change
Everybody wants to be in the Champions League. Why? Because it is the competition for the elite.
What is the biggest problem in football right now, besides disingenuity and people getting paid far too much money for what they actually don't do? Lack of finances, lack of fair distributions, lack of equitability. If you can bring more money to the game and there's a distributive benefit to everybody...
Oh, that's why they're doing it, is it?
No, they're doing it to make money.
Air of benevolence.
Oh, okay, so let me get this right. UEFA are doing it because they've got the best interests of football concerned. Oh, what a load of old pony. They're doing it because they are a monopoly and a cartel and they should be challenged. Now, in that challenge, do you think UEFA should say, that's the end of the discussion? No more involvement, only what we say. You can't possibly advocate for that. No, they should be able to be challenged.
Yeah, but let's come into the realms of reality here. To be quite honest, from what it was to what
that'd be a rarity for a journalist to be in.
From what it was to what they're proposing now.
Oh, it's gone from chalk to cheese,
please, for God's sake, you've gone from one extreme to another in the space of months.
And
go away.
And what will happen?
The Champions League's terrific.
What will happen is, do you know what determines the outcome in the end? Market forces, not you. Not me.
No.
The desire for it.
I didn't realise there was this benevolent sprinkling of money everywhere. So what League Two club's going to benefit from all of this then?
Well, that is the key component of the mechanisms that need to be structured to suggest that distributive benefit...
Let me answer that for you. None.
Oh, no, that's not true though, is it? But it's not true though, is it? Because the redeployment of money in Scotland as a result of teams being in the Champions League finds its way down the pyramid. So there is a distributive benefit. You just don't know what it is. I do.
Do you think Chief Exec... Oh, you do?
I do.
Does Bernd Rijkaard know?
Oh, I'm sure he does, because part of his ability to sell this shtick, right? Shtick, right,
yes,
is that ultimately he's trying to be everything for everyone. Some of what he said is pious self-serving drivel. Some of it is actually on the money. Who are UEFA? Who decided they were going to run the game? What have they done to benefit it besides ultimately create a cartel and a monopoly? Aren't they trying to introduce teams into their own tournament that are based upon legacy and coefficients?
Yeah.
Come on now, let's have competition.
Salty, you're right, mate. Get some reversing lights fitted to Simon this morning. Absolutely.
Beep, beep, Tune in, turn up your hearing aid.
11:20.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.